Well, good evening, everyone. Michael, Soothing here. I thought tonight what I would talk about, since it's almost Valentine's Day, I was going to talk about these truth or dare cards, but it might get me into trouble, so I won't do it. I made a video with these before, but I was banned from using it for some reason. Banned not by YouTube, but by others who had a prerogative to ban. So I won't do any of these cards. I won't tell you that this says things like, how old were you and where were you when you had your first kiss? Okay? What celebrity did you have a crush on and why? See, I'm banned from anything like that, even though those things sound quite innocent. So instead, we're going to talk about one of the latest National Geographics. Specifically, there's an article I found interesting. Well, I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if it's interesting. But there's an article about heroes of the Philippines. And I believe this references those folks who go abroad and send money home who are Filipino, because more Filipinos do that as a percentage of the population than just about any other culture on Earth. Whereas going far away to other international locations. But this National Geographic has many interesting looking articles. So let's peruse through it just a little bit after we have a sip of water from this gigantic chilled container. This is called chilling here. If the water gets out of hand and gets too rowdy, I tell it to just chill. Yes, I know. Leave the comedy to the professionals and don't indulge my mind. 85 years, always in style. Turkish Airlines. Have you ever flown on Turkish Airlines? I never really heard of them, so I'm not sure I know much about them, but let's see what we have in here. Season of the Whale. I better skip this article because some of you will get offended. It's about the indigenous Inupiat, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, who spend weeks on the ice waiting for migrating whales. There they are in a canoe, because they still kill whales as a subsistence type thing. A butchered bowhead whale. I won't show you because you might get upset, even though this is how they've been making a living for a couple thousand years, I'd say at least. A 1,000-year-old practice, it says. A needle point of a little lamb there. The global peril of something or other. I don't really like the constant preaching in National Geographic that's part of their modern policy I prefer it as a magazine about interesting cultures and places and people and animals and so forth and so on. But I think they could really skip all of the preaching because I think we already know that we have a tendency to muck up the planet. And so I don't need to see it 38 times in each article or edition to know that's the case. I think we're aware, and a good thing to do is be a conservationist. But anyway, parrots crack each other up. There's a little parrot of some kind from New Zealand. It says, New Zealand's playful kias get their funny bones tickled when other parrots make a specific call. The gentle low warble sends kias into fits of laughter, making them the first non-mammal known to show contagious emotion. Such as chimps, humans, and rats have. We just got lumped in with rats in those that trifecta. I won't comment, although I must say some elements of humanity do remind me of, as Jimmy Cagney used to say in the old gangster films, "You dirty rat, you dirty rat." Okay. She brings the fossils of dinosaurs home. She does. I want some of those dinosaur fossils. They're interesting. Programmed to change. It's interesting that this particular moth or butterfly, what is it? Butterfly brains are completely rewired to meet the flying insect's new needs. I think a butterfly brain might be very, very small, but it is nevertheless rewired. It goes through all these stages, which are rather difficult to explain. How you get there in fits and starts. But anyway, under Yellowstone, what's this about? Lake altitude is 7,700 feet. The winter water temperature is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. They're doing some exploration down in a lake in Yellowstone. What are they finding there? Essential packing list. You have to insulate yourself from just barely above freezing water. A dry suit which has room for thermal layers underneath. A diving harness, wool socks and thermal pants. 9 portable underwater lights. 8 cases of camera equipment. What do they find down there? I don't know, but I guess I'll read the article and find out. Interesting geological formations, for one thing. What do we have next? Marine Mars. No, not Marine, the guys who fight on the front line. Marine as in ocean. Ancient Mars. Here's an artist's concept. It's not an actual photograph, okay? I'm going to get the flat earthers all stirred up because they think that every composite or artist conception done by NASA means that all globe photographs are faked. All 8 trillion images sent back from all spacecraft, all weather balloons, all space missions, all satellites, all faked, okay? That's what they actually believe. Someday I will do a video about this recent phenomenon. But anyway, here we have a conception of what Mars might have looked like. And as you can see, Mars itself is it's a flat Earth if you look this way. So Mars and Earth were flat, because if you take a look at an Earth map like this, it's flat. So that's solid proof. I mean, have you ever gotten a map out and laid it on the table? It's flat, right? Positive proof the Earth must be flat. Okay, anyway, it says here, ancient Mars looked very different from today's parched crimson landscape. Around 3.8 billion years ago, the planet may have had enough surface water to fill an ocean or bury much of it in ice. And they have recent missions that are trying to uncover the mystery. Do you hate spiders as much as I do? Because this picture offends me. Okay? It's creeping me out. He likes his mates older. She appreciates his taste, it says. The male Latrodectus geometricus spider. They go for the elders in their species. All right, never mind. Let's look at a lion instead. King of the jungle. Or in this case, king of the plains. Did you ever watch The Lion King when you were young? Do you relate to Scar, or do you relate to the hyena, or do you relate to, okay, what's the little lion's name? Someone tell me in comments before I lose my mind. For an African lion, Seaboy lived a longer than average life, long enough to be famous in these pages and admired for his tenacity and fierce spirit. Let's see what it says. He's 14 years old, a dark mane, known to researchers as Seaboy. Died of natural causes. I guess they don't live a real long life. 9 years. Even house cats typically live longer than that, although sometimes they have to invoke 3 or 4 of their 9 lives to make it that far. We had a cat once that mysteriously returned home. Did I tell you this story already? The cat was relocated somewhere else and mysteriously showed up back at home one day about 3 or 4 months later, crossing miles of, how do they figure that out? How to get exactly back to their home. Of course, we kept her after that much effort. She had been given away for a specific reason. Namely, we had to have our home demolished and rebuilt, and didn't know what to do because we were going to live in a place about 40 miles away temporarily for a few months. When we had the new house built, about 2 months after we moved back in, our old kitty showed up. It wasn't even the same house, but she knew. So Too bad for the temporary owner. Oil palms with giant bunches of red fruit. Doesn't look like the fruit of a palm. See there? Oil palm. What do they do with it? Here's an interesting article on ancient biblical manuscripts. The Bible hunters. Sort of like one of those movies with Indiana Jones, you know. Archaeologist meets ancient artifact. I'm going to read all about this because it's interesting to me. When they find things like the Dead Sea Scrolls and then compare them, the most ancient manuscripts to the modern manuscripts they already had, there's no substantive change that occurs over the hundreds of years in between. So we know that what we have today is accurate to the original. When it comes to the biblical text, there's something like 10,000 manuscripts. But anyway, the heat is merciless among the barren hills of Judean desert, near the shore of the Dead Sea. It's a lot like, if you've ever been there, it's a lot like Death Valley. Very similar. If you go out there by the Dead Sea, a valley that's below sea level, so the air compresses even more because of gravity and heats up even more in the sun in the summertime. Of course, the lower you are, you know, the further below sea level, the hotter, the more compression occurs from the density of the air pushing down, and the air is more dense and it's more compressed. The sunlight heats it up more too. I wanted to get to the article about the Philippines because it strikes a chord with my own observation. Filipinos feel a sense of obligation to go work and send money home to family members. There's a word for it. I wish I could remember the word. My Filipino viewers will read. I should just ask Joanne what that word is. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's got some O's in it and something like oolong something. I can't remember. But I'll find out and try to put it into the comments or into the description. Here's an article called The Other Oil Crisis. The world's appetite for palm oil is hurting the environment and wildlife. But in Africa, Gabon hopes to show how to build the industry. See what I say? Every article is a finger-wagging lecture. Palm oil is destroying the world. You know, okay, I get it. Everything that we do is reducing the earth to ashes, all right? You don't have to say it in every article and every title of every article. We understand. But anyway, palm oil is becoming popular because it apparently has some medicinal health benefits, controls diabetes and a number of other things. It could stave off Alzheimer's, I've done some research on it. Did I show you this? See, I'm talking about, here's the jungle shot. I'm talking about Alzheimer's, and I can't remember what I did 1 minute ago. But my short-term memory and cognition has improved a great deal since retirement, because now I don't have to survive on 4 hours sleep every night. Getting enough sleep is very important for your cognition and your DNA. So try not to sleep deprive. Listen to ASMR, especially this channel, okay? It's just a little bit of free advice, and it didn't cost you anything. It didn't cost you a Canadian $50 bill, all right? See, that's still sitting there from before. The sea wreckage and ruin from Indonesian deforestation. Borneo. All right. Palm oil is an ancient staple in West Africa. Can you hear the wind chimes outside? The wooden, not wooden there, bamboo. I like the sound. I thought that was chicken feet for a second, but it's two hands messing around in the palm oil there, see? Looks a little bit messy. Most palm oil is produced by women for domestic use. The fruit is boiled and pounded to extract oil from pulp. Let's see, it's in all manner of supermarket items. Cookies, pizza dough, bread, lipstick, lotion, and soap. It's even in supposedly eco-friendly biodiesel. Goes into European fuel for cars and trucks. Okay. Tree of Plenty. The palm oil fruit. Shows all the stuff it goes into. Some of which is apparently healthy for you, and some of which is apparently unhealthy for you. I'm gonna have to sort out which is which, if I can. They talk about the haze from Indonesian forest fires. I'm gonna have to keep sipping water. Palm oil frontier on the island of New Guinea. This shows a high aerial shot right there. The island of New Guinea. I'm getting a little bit bored with palm oil, so I'll go back and I'll read that later. Oh, listen, you flat earthers. It turns out the earth isn't flat, nor is it a globe. Instead, it's visor shaped. You know, it's like a visor for a helmet. See there? There's the proof right there. Okay? Just so you know, it's a lampshade, but only half. It's a half lampshade. All right. Malaysia. A worker harvests palm fruit in Sarawak. That's a lot of palm trees. They're kind of furry and fuzzy. You didn't think palm trees were furry, did you? But in Malaysia, it looks like they are. It's like they all have a blanket of moss or something like that on them. Let's keep going to the article that we were trying to feature in the beginning of this video, which is about the Filipinos Wait, what's this? Saints and Sinners. Diversity in America. Diver City in America. I don't know what the article is purporting to talk about. I guess it's multiculturalism. A year-long series, it says. All the writing on her t-shirt is backwards because you see somebody forgot to photo correct it. See there? It's all backwards. What does it say? I have to look in a mirror. Need help out, question mark. Oh, it's also upside down. Call something. She did that on purpose. I see. It's backwards and upside down, making some kind of unknown point. I guess you're supposed to ask so that you can get a sarcastic reply. But anyway, Jenny Irene Miller, Inupiat. You know, if I had a lot of hair, maybe I would style it like this. What do you think? I don't know. That looks like an upside down sea urchin, or perhaps I don't know, a giant shell of some kind, like an acorn shell on his head. So it's not a hairstyle I don't know, it could have its advantages. You know, maybe you don't have to wash it every day, but this wouldn't work where I live. I'm required to take a shower before I come to bed, and if I ever did go to the bathroom, of course I don't, because I have no need for those human functions, but if I ever did go to the bathroom, I'm required to take a shower afterward. So by the OCD among us, and like I said before, much better to be cleanliness OCD than to be hoarder and disgusting, okay? Not that I'm insulting anyone out there, so please don't take it personal. Art museum. Somebody's doing large life-size sculptures, bigger than life-size, I should say. Indigenous. Interesting. Signs of indigenous culture are ubiquitous in America, but the people they represent are often forgotten. And then they show a few things you'll see along Route 66, like an espresso teepee-shaped building, and then other various. Let's see what else they have for this. Indians are less than 1% of the population, yet images and names of Indians are everywhere. And they show some examples. Because we have so many artifacts and things named. Many school teams are the Indian chiefs, or, well, even our pro football league has, you know, the Chiefs. The Pumas of Patagonia. Protecting Chile's big cats has come at a steep cost to its sheep ranchers. Is tourism the solution? I think that those big cats happen to really appreciate a nice lamb chop now and then. if it's rare, not too cooked. And so there's a conflict between the sheep ranchers. Big cats are cool, though. They really are. Would you like to see one in the wild? I'd like to see one in the wild, but not while it's leaping toward me with an open mouth and big claws extended. I don't really want to see one that way, but I think it would be cool otherwise. Expanding appetites. The mountain lions are extending their range, apparently. And you can see here where their range is. All over North America, or the current range, is the darker brown. So they cover most of South America. The current range, wait, am I showing that right? Is the darker brown. So you can see it's west of the Rockies and then most of South America. Their historic range was over all of North America, east of the Rockies also. So, a lot of big cats. We have big cats around here. Occasionally there's an attack on pets and things like that. If people leave their dogs outside. Yeah, there was one not long ago, close by. But I wanted to get to this article, Heroes of the Philippines, because I'm married to a Filipina. And I was interested in this topic because growing up in America, we're family-minded, but we also have the attitude that we try to become independent, get out on our own, and make our own way. And unfortunately, whether it's good or bad, most Americans, most U.S. raised citizens don't think they have much of an obligation once they're adults to brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and cousins and such, uncles and aunts, nieces and nephews. Some of us will help out our parents, maybe, if they're really in need, or our children, if they're really in need. But it would be very unusual for us to say, I think I'll go start a lucrative career in Europe or up on the Alaska pipeline, then send all the money back to my relatives so they can live a lot better than I do. That would be an unusual mindset. But in the Philippines, it's a very common mindset. I think it's called utang o loob or something like that. The word I was hunting for, which means you owe, you're giving back to those who did things for you when you were growing up. It's like your parents raised you and paid for your growing up, so you're giving back to others. Let's see what it says. Leaving family and friends behind, 10 million Filipinos work abroad. The $31 billion they send back each year props up their homeland's economy. It would actually be a disaster if you suddenly took away that $32 billion in revenue from the Philippines. If you have ever been around places like cruise ships, for example, you'll see lots of Filipino employees on there who leave home for months or years at a time. and send money back home. I've witnessed this myself in the States. I'm always amazed, and I have a certain respect for those who can be so unselfish as to work hard for years or decades for the sole purpose of making life better for someone else back home. Ricardo Marco was 22 when he first saw snow. Flakes settled on the deck of his cargo ship. Oh, here you go. He's talking about how he became a merchant marine, carved his girlfriend's name in the snow, circled it with a heart. He had grown up in the Philippines on a tropical island rimmed with white sand and coconut palms, but standing on the cargo ship, slicing through the icy waters near the Arctic Circle, snowflakes tickling his face, was a dream come true. I'm really here, he thought. They pulled into the port of Kimai, Finland, in the wake of an icebreaker. Let's see, gonna find the nearest shop. When he got on shore, he went on the seaman's mission to find the nearest shop, buy a SIM card, and call home to his mother. Now 33, Ricardo has spent the past decade working as a merchant sailor on cargo vessels. He's called his mother Jeannie from Finland, the Netherlands, Papua New Guinea, and nearly every country with a port between Sweden and Australia. Okay. Ricardo is one of an estimated 10 million Filipinos, which is about 10% of the country's population, who work overseas as a way of escaping unemployment, low wages, and limited opportunities at home. The money they send back, known as OFWs, Overseas Filipino Workers, amounts to $31 billion a year, about 10% of the economy's gross domestic product. Filipinos are domestic workers in Angola, construction workers in Japan. They staff oil fields. They sing on stages of far-flung provinces in China. They run hotels in the Middle East. A quarter of the world's seafarers are Filipino. It is a phenomenon that has reshaped the economy and education system in the Philippines. I know that I had even a Filipina doctor when I was in Kaiser Medical in the Silicon Valley. There was an influx of Filipina doctors who had a very highly regarded education. They went to UP, University of Philippines, and then continued their education in the U.S. Let's see what this says. Cadets at a Merchant Marine Academy. There's a whole bunch of cadets getting ready to go out into the Merchant Marine. Filipinas learning. In the Philippines, overseas workers are called Bagong Bayani, the new heroes. Sprawling food industry trade. They learn the culinary arts and become master chefs, or caregivers, or all kinds of things in the international marketplace of employment. Look at this. This rings a bell. Western Union money transfer. I didn't think people still used this old, outdated technology until Joanne told me we needed to send money back to the Philippines. And it turns out there was no better way to do it. PayPal just came up with some service that's supposed to be better, quicker, cheaper, faster. But it didn't work for us when we tried it. Like an automated transfer to a Filipino bank account. But we had trouble with it, so maybe they will perfect it. But it says here, tens of billions of dollars in remittances from overseas Filipino workers have propped up the country's economy. Thanks in part to booming industries such as call centers, the economy has been growing at a fast pace at home also. So they're doing better. Some of the Filipinos who go abroad with dreams come home in caskets. That's a sad story because sometimes they're exploited badly. This story is about someone who was sent to be a domestic worker in Saudi Arabia, was killed at the hands of some abusive householder or other. I've seen many horror stories like that. But I must say, the bottom line, I will say this again about Filipinos, they're such a friendly and trusting and family-oriented, giving and caring culture. I want to go visit there with Joanne because all the Filipinos I have met, I've liked pretty much. And, they're not mean like some others. Okay, since we're almost done, I'm going to call her in for a second. Babe, what is the Filipino word or phrase for giving back to your family when you work abroad and you send money home? It's utang na loob or something. What is it?
Utang na loob.
Utang na loob. See, I wasn't that far off.
Utang na loob. But that
Utang
means
na loob.
like you can never repay, when your family takes care of you.
Yeah.
You send them money for support, but it's not paying back.
Yeah, okay. See,
Did you hear the train?
I didn't hear it. I missed the train again. Oh, I have to tell you guys, I hate missing the train because I like to go on walks and watch the train go by at night. It only comes at night here. It's a big, long lumber train moving. This is a timber industry area, so even here on the Oregon coast we have quite a large subculture population, even in small towns, of Filipinos, by the way. I didn't even know until Joanne got a job at the casino for a while, and suddenly she's meeting Filipinos, and they're saying, oh, we have a party planned over at the park by the lake. So we go there, and there's all these Filipinos, right? You wouldn't even think that would be the case in these little towns on the coast, but it is. So everywhere you go. Anyway, I wanted to say I respect that part of their culture. It's hard as an American to relate because you think to yourself, why would I go work hard and then send money to family members who are sitting around, right? That's how our mind immediately thinks. But we're not thinking of it quite right, because the family members would do the same for you if they could. And they help each other, So it's kind of a sharing thing. And closer knit families that are going to watch out for each other. So in that regard, I respect it. Although I keep telling Joanne, don't think I'm going to be sending my hard-earned money. Okay, all right, I send a little. We do help out, but a little bit. But anyway, they'll sacrifice a lot to send money home. A Filipino will live in a little one-room, share a room and have no luxuries to speak of, and not spend money on themselves, and then send all the money home. So in some cases, not all, there's a certain sacrificial selflessness to that I appreciate. But anyway, enough about that. That will wrap up our ASMR video for today. And so we'll do another National Geographic in the future someday. Maybe one of those old ancient ones I have that are funny to look at from the 1950s or something. The old ads and everything. But I'll do something else though next time. Take care, everyone. Do not ASMR and drive. Bye-bye.